right, everybody. I have a special guest here in my house, which is great. Usually it's Brent, but Brent's somewhere else in the world doing his music deal. So I am really glad to have fellow comic book artist and fellow Kiss fan, I must mention, David Day.
Yes, thank you. Hi, nice meeting you.
Good to see you, my friend. Yes, we met at a Kingston Comic Con. We were put beside each other, and I think you had a Kiss shirt on, and then as soon as I saw that, I was like, me and this guy are going to be friends. I knew we were going to be friends. Classic Kiss fans always seem to have a bond, right?
We do. We do.
So just before we get into what you do, are you going to see the final Kiss tour?
No, because it's not the original guys. No, I seen them in 96 in Ottawa when it was. I always made a promise to myself when I got old, if I could old enough and go to a concert, I would go because I want the original Kiss. Yeah, that's my Kiss.
Me too. I agree.
They're still the best Kiss. The other guys are cover guys. Like get their own personalities. You don't need to rip off Peter and.
At least Vinnie Vincent came in and was like somebody different.
Yeah,
Eric Carr was somebody
the
different.
Hawks,
Eric Carr was a good drummer too. So did you hear what Paul Stanley said on the Howard Stern show about
the piss thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Paul Stanley, how dare you?
Yeah.
On here, I'm always calling out celebrities. I actually had a segment where I was burning celebrities. I was roasting them, and I was getting people don't like it when I make fun of Taylor Swift. Let's just say that. So I stopped doing it, but I still like to point my finger at guys like Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. I feel I've given them enough of my money that I can do that.
You can do that. Totally do that.
Thank you. But yeah, so we are big Kiss fans, but we also both are disappointed in the attitude towards the original members. Which even if they had them out to do like the encore with them.
Anything. Anything. But I'm glad that they're not falling into the trap. I couldn't believe when they didn't get paid equal money on the 96 tour.
Right?
Yeah, that was just like, come on, what's going on here? There's something wrong with this. Mathematics. It's not adding up.
No, and then of course you hear all the things like, well, Peter Criss was never a good drummer. Ace was always too drunk. Well, Ace is on his 5th or 6th album since he left the band. He's just releasing a new one. And if you watch Peter, when he was
I seen him 2 months ago. He was at this jazz fest and he was playing some jazz. Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that drumming. No, nothing wrong with that.
They just didn't want it, and they didn't want it to be about Peter and Ace.
No, they can't control it.
If they would have brought Peter and Ace in on the final, that's what it would have been about.
That's what I didn't like about Psycho Circus. It was the fact it wasn't them as a group. It was them like doing the Monkees thing, or their own little individual. When
you saw that tour, did Paul Stanley go, okay, I got to get this side of the crowd to chant Wall, and this side Mart, because you could only get the CD at Walmart?
Yeah. That was in Ottawa.
Kiss. Yeah. So I saw them in Toronto, and Kiss was getting the crowd to chant Walmart, Walmart. Wow. And Gene Simmons says, well, rock and roll's dead, and it's not my fault.
No, he's been commercializing for years.
Wow. I think he forgets
what he
says.
Nothing. No. But a cool side note, my brother Gene had a fan letter from him in 70. He was still
He's probably still moonlighting as a teacher.
He was still a teacher then, and of course my brother Gene grew up in this, so Kiss to him was like, I can listen to it better and cooler in his mind, like the Stones and the Beatles.
Yes.
With stuff like that.
I remember that whole attitude about Kiss, right?
Yeah, I was little, but they were like superheroes who played rock and roll. That's why I liked them. They're like comic book that came to life.
Exactly. And then
played rock and roll.
And then it was a comic book, and then it was like larger than life. The show was amazing.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Okay, so let's stop giving Gene Simmons money here for a minute.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what you do and how you do it. And
I am Gene Day's, Dan Day's baby brother. And there's 3 of us, and I would not be doing what I do for a living if it wasn't for Gene. He worked for Marvel from 77 until 82, and he had a heart attack. Danny was with him on every page all the way through there. Gene was doing 4 books a month, which is a big deal because Kiss only was doing Marvel was only doing like 20 books a month. At the time,
they were machines back in the day.
Well, yeah, and this is before machines. This was before. Well, he was the only one doing it. Nobody else could keep up to it.
Well, that's a lot.
But then again, there was the Day factory machine. Every page that Gene worked on, Danny worked on it too. Danny blacked it in, whited it out, erased it, tightened up the background, did all that. And he was doing that for 5 years. And then Danny was going off on his own by the time that Gene passed away. And I was getting groomed that summer to take over that job. I was 16, and I worked on the first 2 issues that Gene penciled, which was issue 68 and 69, which is the introduction of the Mandalorian storylines, which now they're worth collectors. I mean, they just went boom since the TV show came out.
Yes.
On it. So I was getting room for that. I drew all the spaceships. Yeah, I was 16 years old. Now, I will not joke to you. It was not my creative input. I had him over top of my shoulder, micromanaging me, where the ships go and where they go and stuff on it. But
the design aspect he was showing you. Well, put that over here, which is important, right?
Yeah, blow it up, shrink it down, make one bigger, one smaller, and all those things. Oh, yeah, the layout.
Layout is really important.
It's
kids, layout. When I teach the kids, like, well, and they're already going in on their finished copies. Whoa, what if you just moved this or added this? And they're like, oh, so I got to redraw a little bit, buddy.
Well, he taught me that when you overlay figures and overlay ships, you get depth in a comic. And
when they get good, they don't realize they're doing that,
no,
do they? It's like they do the page and they show you, you're like, my God, my eyes goes all around the page. And
yeah.
That's what I do.
Well, Gene had the ability when he did his books where it was like a dance, the figures would move across the page. He was the best storyteller.
What a great way to describe that. I like that.
He was the best, and that's what his true gift was his storytelling and his layout. More than Danny was a fantastic inker, and I have the ability. My brother Gene couldn't paint because he was colorblind. But I was doing, like, I was supposed to take over doing his painted work in '82 when he passed away. So I got his first job that was offered to him. Was my first job working for Chaosium doing a book cover, an RPG book cover when I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw a drawing. We'll show it here, and it's a skeleton driving a cab, and there's a girl in the back.
That was in my book there. Shadows from the Grave.
How long was that?
That was in 85, 86. I was 20 years old.
It was another one that whenever I have artists on the show, I always say that I always pull out a piece from your past that's like, just saw it on the whole screen. It was like, boom.
I only did that. I only signed the contract for those 2 books.
Really?
Because I wanted to do that wraparound werewolf painting on the cover.
Man. Some amazing stuff, friends. So what is that issue? What book
that
is that?
says Shadows from the Grave.
Shadow from the Grave?
Shadow from the Grave.
Shadow from the Grave.
And it's written by Kevin McCormick or McConnell.
Okay, we'll show it on here. But I highly recommend if you're into the classic inking style and just horror drawing and such like that.
If you're a beginner and you're getting into the industry, you can't do science fiction because you don't have the skills.
Right.
Science fiction doesn't work if it's done loose. Horror works if you're not quite talented enough to pull it across with the anatomy or anything else. If it's a little bit stretched or a little bit scratchy, it's horror.
Right.
It gives it a creepier effect. It makes it look older and gothic. You can do that. So that's why if you're going to be a movie director, we and my brothers talked about this a lot. Do a horror movie as your first movie, because if everything is the hands shaky or whatever, you can get away with that in a horror movie.
Wow. Are you listening, writers? Young writers. Yeah, I love innovating. So the young writers that are coming up in these little, like the 8 to 10-year-olds that I'm teaching right now are so segregated in what they do. It's what they do. Yeah,
well, there's someone like, I'm into anime, or I'm into this, I'm into that.
Right.
Me, I was always into horror comics as a kid, and into my idea was I didn't want to do comics. I went to my first comic convention. And I went, oh my God, I can't take these people. They're too nerdy.
Right.
To me, I grew up with Kiss.
Yeah.
My idea of not painting the Sistine Chapel, but was painting on the side of a van. That was cool to me.
Yeah. I remember the Kiss van. I was the Destroyer cover, I think, if I remember
all the
correctly.
Ken Kelly artwork on it, Frank Mazzetta artwork on it.
Wow.
That's the guys that I wanted to look like as my whole life.
Well, see, our generation is different than these new comic book artists and such, because we actually went outside. And we hung out with people, and there was a thing called alcohol and beer, and we would go into social circles and do that kind of thing. Yeah. A sidebar is that it's not like that anymore.
No, it's not like that.
Generally, there's the musicians and guys who party, and there's the artists and the comic guys who go home at 10 o'clock at night, and that's fine too, but we're a different generation. So, again, too, like, internet came in, like, not like we had to look for magazines and such, right?
Yeah, the newsstand was the big thing. I mean, I bought everything. All my art collecting books and stuff are all bought at newsstands and bookstores.
There's no internet for it.
No, there's no internet. Nowadays, it's bing, bang, boom, and you got whatever you want. Whatever you can dream of, you can get.
So the point that you mentioned about having the horror more scratchy and the sci-fi more smooth and tight, that's like an amazing point that you're not going to get from looking at any picture on the internet. But if you go back and look at books and read the whole story, I always tell my young artists to go back and look at these books from the 70s.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Spider-Man was created in the 60s and we haven't seen anybody as good as him.
No.
You know what I mean? Can you think of a hero that has been overlooked? by either Marvel or DC, you know, because I'm always looking for like these lesser known characters. Like, wow, you really missed the boat on that. Like at a higher extent, because there has been no proper movie. I think Daredevil, just to show where my head's at. Daredevil, man, like I love the TV show, loved it. Now it's gone, and I don't know what they're doing with it. But I really feel if they did a Daredevil movie properly, it would be great. Just because I love Daredevil, but. If you think even lower than that, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to say two. I would say superheroes wasn't my thing. I bought Spider-Man if he was fighting wolves by night. Right. I bought Batman if he fought Clayface, a horror character. Okay. But I grew up though with the other ones that I liked which is not overlooked, Prince Valiant by Hal Foster, a Canadian. It's a newspaper strip. And there's a movie made in the 50s. Yeah, there was a movie made in the 80s or in the 50s, and it had what was his name now? Married to Natalie Wood. He was in Swift, and he was in Austin Powers. He plays number 2.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do, but I can't think of his name. We'll throw it over the screen.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
That's okay.
He played Prince Valiant, and then I liked in the 80s. I liked Rocketeer, the movie bomb.
Ooh, okay.
I like Rocketeer. Those are the kind of things that I liked. Something that wasn't really a superhero. That was like a hero, but it wasn't a superhero.
Those are So Prince Valiant, that's Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian. He's from Halifax.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I have the comic books. I haven't really looked through them too much, but yeah, that's interesting. That's really cool. So it's funny the state of Marvel because at first when the movies came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like because you can't really get those stories wrong. The first ones. Yeah. Like Iron Man's first movie, like this is what happens. You really can't change that because it's fantastic. Nowadays, I discussed this a lot on here. So we have the new Marvel movie coming out, Captain Marvel, and they've changed all the lead characters to females, every single one.
Well, she started off being, can't say she, Captain Marvel started off being a guy,
right.
And then it went in the 80s, it went into being a female.
Branched off.
Yeah, because they didn't realize they didn't have enough female characters. Marvel didn't, because remember they started bringing in the 70s. You have Marvel in the 60s. Marvel in the 60s is all men.
Yes.
And then in the 70s, you started breaking, and you started getting your ethnic characters. You started getting your Shang-Chi. Yes. You started getting your Power Fist. You started getting Black Panther. Well, Black Panther came.
Brother
in.
Voodoo was maybe a little before they called Doctor Voodoo.
They came in a little bit, but they were side characters. They weren't a main character.
Exactly.
They didn't have their own starring. But they might have and they would last like 3 or 4 issues and.
Right
off the stands it went. It went that way. So they started bringing in the ethnic ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the movies are doing that now too. They're bringing in the different ethnic groups into it.
Yeah,
so no problem.
I know. But I was just thinking, like, so when I watch a movie now, like when I watched the last Thor movie. No, let's not use that one. Yeah, I like. Here's the thing I'm thinking. Maybe I guess. It doesn't seem like one person wrote it. It seems like a script was in and then 12 people.
I don't think anything now from Marvel is one person writing it. I think it is it's a
shit show. We can say
it's a table.
I think it's a shit show.
I think it is too. I think it's definitely since the Thanos storyline, it's definitely dropped down. There's 1 or 2 blips that I like. I like the Shang-Chi movie. I like the Peter Parker, the 3 Peter Parkers.
Fantastic. Like it's done properly, right?
Yeah,
it's not
like the Doctor Strange.
Because those aren't changed to be changed.
No.
My only thing about the new Marvel movie, Captain Marvel movie, is that, okay, you have all ladies starring in the movie. Like, is that, okay, so now as a male, I'm like,
I don't mind.
Well, I don't mind, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, I've just heard so much of that. Well, don't get mad, because it's a lady. So it's okay. So now I feel like I should get mad because the ladies were so mad in the past, or trans or whoever. Yeah. So now the shoe's on the other foot. So I feel like, oh, I should probably be mad about this in this day and age, right? Where I'm really not. Yeah. But there's that thing in my back, and my mind's going, well, Chris, now it's your turn.
I knew they were going to make a movie with all the female leads. When they did it in the last Infinity Wars, when they shot to that scene when you had the 6 girls all lined up. Okay, the crowd in the theaters went, they went crazy, they did. Mm-hmm. I went, well, Marvel's not stupid. There's money to be made there.
Right. But at this time, where nobody's liking Marvel movies, to do this is kind of like, wow, you guys don't get it anymore, do you? Like, you really don't get it. For one thing, they're behind. Yeah, because, like I said, they're trying to hit all the different markets now. I feel that's their agenda, because they don't want people in North America. Like, it never was, but they definitely are trying to get other countries into it. Too many people.
They're forcing it into
trying to write it.
Don't let the good stories evolve. They've got 40 years. I remember growing up and going to conventions in 82, 83, and I remember saying, well, because Superman was such a phenomenal, great movie in the 70s, and it made such a lot of money. And I said, once the technology for making the movies will catch up, I said, superheroes will be number one. I said, because you have 50 to 80 years of a character where the supporting cast, their costumes are designed. You got stories to call upon, and you got all these different, and it's built in everybody's mind. So it isn't like Battlestar Galactica or Logan's Run where you got to hire somebody to design costumes that you don't know if it's going to go over because. Well, Batman's going to go over because it's outselling everybody else. Yet characters that time that weren't selling, that were in there, like Catwoman, that lasted like 3 issues and, went kaputz. Yeah. Well, that's, that didn't go over. Don't make a Catwoman movie.
No, exactly, right? Yeah.
Because the audience ain't going to, they're not interested in what it is.
Yes.
Well, they're interested in the other ones. And then that's eventually evolved into what happened in the industry.
Yeah, there's no like Stanley Kubrick. You give the guy the movie, and everybody just leaves him alone.
No, Marvel doesn't work that way.
Oh, I know, right? Or give the movie to Scorsese. He's bitching about everything, man. Just go to him and say, "Okay, Scorsese, make a movie. Pick any Marvel character you want."
But Sam Raimi, though, did have his stamp on Doctor Strange.
Yes,
put his stamp on it.
You know what I really like? I can't think of a Doctor. There's 2 of them, right? Just 2.
There's just 2. I like both of them.
And I like both of them.
I like both of them too.
I agree.
I just watched on Saturday night on the corner. I watched Thor. Number 1 again. That's one directed by Kevin Branch, famous, actor there. He's in Harry Potter and many other things, Hamlet and everything else. He didn't have a clue how to handle it. And I don't like the first 2 movies of it. I like the 3rd movie of
yes, Thor was great because we had
third, but I don't like the 4th one. Hate the first one, hate the second one, and hate the 4th one, but love the 3rd one.
Get a little bit of Contest of Champions in there.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, with the Grandmaster.
Oh, I laughed. It's not even work.
So cool. Yeah, I really like Thor. And then it was funny because then, well, not funny, haha, but then Thor 4 comes out and it was like, same, I forget the gentleman's name who did the Thor 3.
He did
Wataki,
Jojo Rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know the director's name
Taki
either
Waititi or something like that. I apologize.
I could try to say his name and I'll fail.
Yeah. So when I heard he was doing the movie again, I was like, oh, no. I think I think that was, you can't do a movie like that again, especially with Gore the God Butcher. Are you kidding me? He is not going to get Gore the God Butcher. Because Gore the God Butcher he's so evil and vile and hates gods. Like that's such a huge. And then the way he was just kind of jokey, almost like the Joker. I don't know. That kind of that didn't hit me.
No, didn't work.
No. What is your all-time favorite Marvel movie? Do you have one?
My favorite one, Captain America, the first one, the first Avenger. Because I like it because it has the period piece of the World War II. And to me, whenever I bought Captain America back issues, anything that had him to deal with him and Bucky going against the Nazis always had a special feel to it.
Jack Kirby always had such a little tinge to all that Captain America.
But even John Byrne, I bought John Byrne collection. I love John Byrne, He did a story with
he did a great
one. And I liked it too.
Yes, I do too. The Captain America, there's so, if again, I'm looking, just put in Jack Kirby, Captain America art. There's always ones that pop up that I'm like, ooh, 7 years old again, just shivers, right? Like seeing the ones you could get a wall sticker on or whatever, that iconic stuff. I just love all that stuff. And as I tell my younger viewers, really look into this old stuff. There's a reason why we haven't had a new superhero with the height of Spider-Man or Batman. That's 40s, right?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, man. I think like we've had Venom.
Oh, the 40s, like when it was created in?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we haven't had.
Well, the Spider-Man was created in the 60s.
62,
63,
62. Yeah. So, but nobody's created like a new hero. Deadpool, 89 maybe. Venom, 88, I guess, something like that. Maybe around those times. But it's not like, hey man, DC's going, well, we got this great new character. Everybody's going to love him. No, let's go back to Superman and let's. And there's a reason for that. Right?
I think there's 2 reasons for that. Number one, I think the reason is, I think it's because you don't get any royalties from creating a character for somebody else. Why would you waste it on them and give them a good character? Back in the old days, they're paying, you're paying your mortgage with it and everything else. I mean, I get paid residuals for my reprints on the Marvel stuff. And the last check I got was $9. Wow. Now, I've got checks as high as $2,000, but I had to do like 80% of the book that got reprinted. Where I do like a section of it, and the inks, they're very small. So why bother on it there? That's what I'm just saying. You know,
No, that's
well, Gene had a nice
info, man.
Gene had a nice thing where he had the credit, and we all the family we all liked it in the Master Kung Fu movie, Shang-Chi movie, you know, because he created the Death Dealer character, and so that was kind of nice to have on and stuff, and then the toys I bought. But I mean, there's no money from it.
No.
So what's your incentive as a creator to give Marvel more money?
Makes sense. You go to Image lets you keep your own,
or you just go on
right?
Kickstart now.
Yeah.
What's half of them are doing?
I'm forgetting. I'm doing my own comic book, so yeah, you just do your own book there. Yeah,
and you're not the only guy.
Yeah,
Joe Rubenstein's doing it. He can't get market work at Marvel anymore. Wow. Jeff Eisenwood, Canadian, he can't get work there anymore because it's all done to. Again, I think it's a committee around.
Right.
You know, now there was a committee that edited me when I did my first ink job with Danny. They sat around and they picked how much to pay me for a page rate. With this much work, this quality, what the pencils, how finished they were, you get this on a scale of pay.
Wow. I was also talking to, I keep hitting the table. I apologize, fans. I was also talking to a couple other comic book artists, and they were also mentioning that, so now they don't take submissions anymore. And also they spread out across the world who they hire. Yeah. So they make sure that they're not just hiring.
No, they hire so many anime guys, and they hire so many
from different countries. They make sure that they've got all those in there.
Same as the movies.
Yeah, they got to spread it out. So it's not really who's the best for anything anymore.
No.
It's more like we have to share the wealth with everybody, which is one way to look at it. Nobody wants to hear my opinion on all this kind of political stuff. I try and avoid that. That's when I get, that's when I get stuff going on like that. But it's funny how they haven't been able to stretch any new storylines, or when they do expand on storylines that are already written. Like, how many times have they tried to do the Death of Phoenix? Yeah, in my opinion, one of the greatest visual and written stories in comic book history. Right?
Terry Austin, Chris Claremont,
and
John Byrne is a rare. Like I know Teen Titans went over with Marv Wolfman and George Perez.
Yes.
I always thought it was like the ugly stepsister it was to the X-Men at the time.
They're really trying.
Nobody, they brought him along, but whatever.
It's a shame because
it's a good book. Yeah. His Crisis, I think, their Crisis, I think, is better than Marvel's Secret Wars were at the time. So I'm not saying what they're doing was wrong. It's just I'm just saying the Teen Titans just didn't have the personalities that the X-Men have, because nobody over there has look at what Wolverine. I mean, look at how
John Byrne saved him, right? Like, they weren't even going to use him.
Dave Cockrum created, hated him. Brought Nightcrawler was the #1 character.
Yes. So if you look back at the older X-Men covers that Cockrum did, Wolverine's either not in there or he's in the back.
He's way in the back.
And John Byrne was like, "No, wait, man, this is a great character. And if you don't mind, I'd like to make him Canadian." You know what I mean? Yeah. And just the attitude and everything. And then the one I'll never forget was the issue at the very end fighting the Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
I forget what he's saying.
I'm the best at what I do.
He pops out of the water, right? Or now it's my turn, bub, or something like that.
I'm the best at what I do.
Yes. Oh man, I just as a kid going. Yeah, and then reading it again just to get to that impact from him. Amazing. So you got to look back to your roots, my friends. Also, too, I got a little piece here. I picked this up at a comic convention one time, and this is by you and your brother, correct?
Well, mostly it's me on there. Dan worked a little bit on, helped me with the inks.
Look at him selling your work, man.
Well, I know, but what it was is we had a system up where I had the ultimate say if it was in color,
right?
Because I see things in color.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He sees things in black and white. Yeah, but Danny had the ultimate say when it came to doing the inks on it. And a lot of the layouts sometimes. Danny did, I would say he did about 90% of the layouts when I was young on stuff. Because that was his strength. And I wasn't there yet on it. So we worked as a team. Mm-hmm. That's what got us to our deadlines done, and that's what got us the work we did because we could crank them out on it. Then now we had the luxury of FedEx. Mm-hmm. Gene didn't have the luxury of FedEx. He had regular mail, but mail was a lot better back then. You mail something from New York, you got it in like 5 days later. Mm-hmm. But Gene had to do like 6 pages a day, where we could do about 2.5, 3 pages a day when we worked for Marvel. That was in the 90s.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Wow, like and so no, you're not. This is how they used to do it. They used to. There's right there. They didn't scan it into.
And the lettering's on the page too.
Yeah, this is all. I was just like, look at that. That's not like stuck on there, right? That's not like an overlay.
Nowadays,
look at that. That's all. Yeah, this is beautiful. I love the old style in this. Oh, it's beautiful. This is on some nice board too. So yeah, so your brother's selling your shit for you, man. I don't know what's going on.
Yes. Oh no, that's what it was. We worked on it and stuff, and then he had. I walked away from artwork for a while. I had
a table full. It was just like a
table.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, oh my gosh, that was really nice. Oh, there. Then he signed it in pencil to Chris.
Yep. That's Danny's.
All the best.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So my blue pencil. Also, okay, so, geez. Let's talk about what you got coming out now. We've got cards coming out, and we're going to be showing those. We'll show those as an overlay here, and I'm going to talk about little after. But tell the folks about your new card sheet that you have, just in time for Halloween.
Yes, it's based on old TV movie horror hosts. I grew up watching the ones at Syracuse, which was Monster Movie Matinee on Saturday afternoon, and I love now watching Svengoolie on Saturday nights. And so I like doing that. And I did a little drawing up for a little sketch for a guy of Svengoolie, and my editor I've done a lot of work with, Richard Parks at Richard Park Cards down in the States, deep south. And he liked it so much, he said, you know what, we should do a set on that together. Do you want to do that, Dave? And I said, sure. So we did 27 cards up. And
this is the list right here, right?
It's got its own checklist.
Yeah, like the hockey card days, right? We'll show better pictures of all this. So we've got Coffin Joe. Oh, Elvira. Jeez.
We got to have Elvira.
I turned on the TV last night.
And I worked on her comic for 14 years.
Oh, man. I got to find some of that and show that. I'm a big Elvira fan.
Yeah.
Turned on the TV last night, and the last thing that was on, there was an Elvira special. It was still going. I was like, okay, I got to sit down and watch some of this. You know, it's just hypnotizing. Mr. Lobo, but not Lobo, the character Lobo, Mr. Lobo.
Well, back then, horror shows, it was nationally televised across the world or across North America. It was done regional. So all these are all regional, Philadelphia, New Mexico, Dallas, all across New York. They're all done at late night to help sell the movie horror.
That's how it used to be, is we used to be able to watch these B horror movies at night with a host like Elvira.
Yeah.
And it was just like a regular thing on the weekends, right? It's like, okay, late night, time to turn this on.
Yeah. I grew up watching, he used to run it, or CWL horror movies all the time. That's why I see all the Hammer horror movies with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
And it was such a surprise because sometimes you didn't know what movies were coming on. The internet's great and all, but it's nice. You appreciate it more when it's kind of like, oh my God, you know what's on?
Well, the commercial break gives you like a tense. It builds up and it stops usually when there's a cliffhanger scene. So it gives you that kind of a cliffhanger of what's going to happen with the character.
Yeah, and I hate being handcuffed to the TV when I'm watching a movie. That's why I don't like going to the theater. It's because I feel like I'm handcuffed there, and then I get the anxiety of, oh my God, is it over yet? Can I get up and leave? Or there'll be somebody 2 rows beside me, and I just hear them. And how are you making that bag of popcorn last for this whole movie? You know what I do, because they're eating one kernel at a time or something? I'm terrible that way. So some of my favorites, too, though, you have on here is like Count Floyd from
SCTV.
From SCTV. Oh, my gosh.
Kids, that's a scary one, eh?
It's the best. Like, we grew up on SCTV. Oh, yeah. You're not going to get anything like that. The cool thing about it is you're not going to get anything like this stuff anymore, man. This
Bruno
is great.
And Dr. Tongue.
Yeah.
John Candy.
What were the 2 that we were discussing that are on YouTube channel that have their own show?
Mummy and the Monkey.
Mummy and the Monkey. You guys got to look them up.
They're out of Cleveland.
Cleveland, okay.
A lot of these horror hosts, like about 4 or 5 of them come out of Cleveland.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, there's some real... So what one was your favorite?
Mine?
Yeah, well...
it was the one I watched as a kid. I can't even remember their name now. But I think it's Dr. Nitty Gritty.
Okay.
The Monster Movie. I know the show was the Monster Movie Matinee. The camera would start at the moat and work up in this model with the dried ice coming up and going to it. And then there'd be somebody knocking out at the gate. We got to let them in to watch the show and all those ones and stuff.
So how do you distribute these cards? How does that work? Where do people get these?
This was on a Kickstart, and it was on Richard's 10th Halloween set.
Okay.
And then he gave me some for me to sell, and I got paid for doing the job, of course. And then he gave me some free copies, and I've been selling them on. Just email me on Facebook, David Day.
We'll put it down below. We'll put your information down below.
Yeah, just on the Facebook it is. I'm on there, and I've been selling them. I've sold in the last week and a half like 50, 60 cents.
He always has something cool. Every day I'm kind of like, what's he pimping today? Or what's he finishing off today? But you do like everything, man. Like there's Dungeons and Dragons stuff I've seen, like I don't know if it is, but it's that style.
No, that's what it is.
I love that, man.
Well, again,
like classic Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm not old. I go back to the beginning of Dungeons and Dragons.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing is you don't see that much anymore. Like,
no.
You got to toot that stuff, right?
They went into digital for a bunch of years. Dungeons and Dragons did. TSR,
Yes.
and then it was Wizards of the Coast bought them, and I think Mattel owns them now. And they went into digital, and then what happened was the artists realized they got made the money for doing the job, but there was no sales from prints, there was no sales from originals, there's no sales from sketches. You sell all that sort of stuff. Then I've been dabbling and got out of that and dabbled into the fantasy world back again in the 90s and did it.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. Well, if you get him on, follow David on Facebook there, you'll see all the stuff that he's working on. It's really cool.
Yeah, the magic altars are the big thing. I didn't know about it until 3 years ago.
Really?
4 years ago. Yeah, a guy said, we'd do an altar. And I went, what's that?
Yeah.
And he said, well, you know when you have like a yearbook picture and there's somebody, girl in the class, some guy you don't like, and you draw little horns on their head? Well, you're altering their picture. And that's what you do to the card, is you're altering a bubblegum card.
I thought it was altar as it's an altar.
Yep. Altar as in you're altering
it's an altar you're
altering the card. So it started off being simple where you just grab like the character on there and you do horns on them and a mustache and stuff. And now I do elaborate. I paint over the whole thing.
Wow. So you sell little cards, you sell larger cards?
I sell just normal 2.5 by 3 inches of magic cards that I've done and of my cards, and I alter them.
Right.
And they sell for anywhere between $150 to $200 each.
Wow.
And mostly I sell in the States and Italy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild to find out where everybody buys from you.
Yeah. And
that's
I was
amazing.
doing a lot for China, and China kind of dried up here in the last 6 months with the tensions.
Everything that's going on.
Yeah, everything going on right now. Yeah.
With the humans doing their human things. Okay, so we're going to wind up here, my friend. What is your favorite horror movie? Because
my favorite horror movie?
Give me a couple, you know what I mean?
I would have to say, I like The Thing, the remake Thing.
The John Carpenter one.
And most of John Carpenter's horror movies I liked. I grew up watching those ones. I go back to some of the older stuff, like the Hammer horror vampire movies. I really love the new movies. I love the It. The new It.
Right, yes.
I like the old Emerson Curry
ones, yeah.
But the new ones, I like them a lot.
Have you seen Hereditary?
No, I haven't seen those ones. No, I don't like ghosty ones. They don't really do it for me. I like monsters.
Yeah, this one is more of a cult.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but it's the guy worshipped Stanley Kubrick. I was going to say Joe Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick. And the movie Hereditary is just, it's more of a mind screw. Where you're like, what the hell is actually going on? It's really well written. I think you might like it.
Yeah.
There's some scenes in there that you want to rewind and watch again.
Yeah.
His movie. He did Midsommar as well.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No.
Okay, that's another one. You're just
see those ones. I'm not. I kind of stay away from them.
Yeah.
I like Saw. I gotta blow my nose.
I got the same thing. My cats, I have all the hair flying around.
Yeah.
We'll edit this part out.
Okay.
Or maybe not. This will be the best part of the video.
I don't care.
I don't either.
I'm an old man now.
Dude, we're glad. I feel really old when I leave the house. It was funny because sidebar, I mentioned I can't go to Walmart anymore just because of the start of the day because it puts me in such a bad mood.
Oh, it does, eh?
Oh, it does. I'm at the point where I really like my position where I sit home and draw and I teach kids.
That's what happens. When you get older, you become more not like Mr. Walton. You become more like Archie Bunker.
Yes. As I say to my wife, I had to ask, was I always like this antisocial with people? She goes, no, man, you used to be the loudest guy in the room and wanting to go everywhere. So
my niece calls me Krusty as I've gotten older. I've gotten crusty.
Those are something called Krusty the Clown.
No, I'm crusty as in my attitudes a little bit.
Guy. I get you. Well, David, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show. I also was gifted a big sheet of cards, which I'm going to share with you. And anything you can tell the folks about what you got going, because he's always working. There's no dust under his pencil, I'll tell you that.
They're creating a reprint of Frankenstein with 38 new illustrations added to it by comic book artists. And it's on Kickstarter right now. I think it ends in 2 or 3 days. Wow. And after that, I'm working. I have about 100 altars to do at the house. Nice. I'm working on, and about 4 or 5 private commission oversized paintings.
You're super busy, man. Like I say, like every day I'm checking online to see what kind of new work he's got finished or that he's working on. Because David also shows his progress sometimes. He'll be like, got it penciled in, and then got the colors blocked in, and then you'll see. And a lot of people really dig that.
Yeah, they do.
I find that a lot of people like to see the process.
I'm kind of hoping maybe if somebody wants to learn how to do the process, they could watch it. Like I remember listening to on PBS this historian who was an artist historian, and he studied this certain artist, and this artist had a cold because there was always a wood stove in his studio going all the time, so he must have suffered from colds bad. And I went, no, you moron. Yeah. It isn't that. What he's doing is he's working in oils. Mm-hmm. He's cooking it every night because he was a commercial artist, and he had to ship it out to the printers and the publishers in New York.
Right.
So he's cooking it, and then I used to do the same thing, and so did Dave Gorman, and did all the oils guy. Bernie Wrightson once set a painting on fire, put it in the oven. Joe Jesco told him to heat it up and cook it, and it caught on fire.
Oh my gosh! Wow, the struggles that we used to go through as artists. Nowadays, they're just like diddly 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 diddly.
Well, that's why I do 90% acrylic nowadays, because it's you walk away 2 hours, come back, and it's bone stone dry.
Well, yeah. You know how many people actually do the computer stuff and say, "Yep, I did that," with no detail of how they did it?
Yeah.
That they copied something, put it behind another background. Whereas I love the fact that you're showing that, no, man, this is how we actually do art. You know what I mean? Like by hand, original. There's no qualms whether this is actually done by hand. There's a lot of people, especially with the not 3D. What is it? The
AI.
Yeah,
the AI is everywhere now. Half the Marvel books are done AI. I thought it was neat for an effect. I think it's
for a minute or two. The odd comic
when they have the background shimmering at the back, or they grab a real city and put it in. Jack Kirby was doing that back in the '60s. He was taking the Fantastic Four, dropping them in, and adding a real city in the background. That was kind of neat. It's a technique. But not every page. And don't be I love color. I think color. But don't be a slave to the color.
Right?
Don't make the color hurt the artwork.
Yeah.
There's still, because there's 90% of the books nowadays are done with literally penciled and inked almost linear.
Yes, thank you. There's no ink line. There's no depth and clarity to the ink.
No, it looks like an animation.
It's a wash of color. You're right. That's all it is. Thank you so much.
The inks will give you depth.
Now, here's my point to this. There's so much of it that they're going to get sick of it.
They are.
And where are they going to go
sick
to?
of it.
They're going to go to this.
They're going to go
old school style.
That's why all these books now, even Marvel themselves, over 50% of their production every month is reprints. Epic, the Omnibus
Epic magazines were amazing.
But the Epic collections now.
Yes.
And you're getting all these reprints. You're getting all these reprints. You're not getting, like, there's new stuff being done, and they're selling great.
Yeah.
Like. They're doing phenomenally well. I got my Alvaro one that reprinted a lot of my stories in it. They're a little expensive. I had to pay $100 for it.
Oh my gosh!
They wouldn't give me a copy. They don't get a copy. You don't get a copy from Marvel on them anymore. You don't
no,
I get a paycheck, but a little one.
You should just be thankful that you're working for Marvel, right? That's the whole thing. Thank you so much, Marvel.
We're grateful.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me be a cog in your massive machine.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I'm so disappointed in Marvel lately. I just had a hard time.
It's not just Marvel. It's all of them.
No, it is. You're correct. You are correct.
It's not just Marvel. It's all of them. That's why, I grew up in the time of the, when it started independent publishing was comic shops not being newsstand, but being comic shops. So direct to them. And then even Marvel was selling you. That's where you could buy an old comic book and you see a stamp or you see the code. Yes. Well, the code was sold through the markets and newsstand, and the one that had the Superman's face on it or the character's face on the bottom and the white square, black and white, those ones sold to the comic stores. So they had that, they did. And that's when you had comic book companies like Comico, Eclipse, Dark Horse, Now Comics, First Comics, all these ones were coming out. And all the great comic books are in there. You've got Tim Truman's Scout.
Right.
You've got Howie Chaykin's American Flag. You've got, Danny's Aztec Ace.
That's a classic too. Yeah.
And you've got all these ones, and they're getting reprinted now. They are too, because you can't go back and find them. If you can find them, they're expensive.
Right.
So
hopefully we're gonna get I think it's coming back. It's funny because I'll have people on the show and they'll drop their political opinion on me about something, and I'll be like, okay, whatever. And then some just say, well, when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created Spider-Man, and no, they didn't. Yeah, it was Steve Ditko. Then I get excited, right? Yeah. So that's why with Marvel right now, I just take it a little personally. Well, because the things that they're doing with some of the characters in the movies, I know why they're doing it, and it's like, you guys, like, I could think of 10 people that I know that are like under 18 that could write a better story than they're doing right now.
Even in the 90s, when you got a script from Marvel, it was about this big writing.
Wow.
It's all your script. Not the pages.
No,
but
the script.
The script on one single piece of paper, and that was the script. Marvel always allowed the artist to plot and lay the book out.
Oh, okay.
DC was not. DC was Superman enters in the left panel. There's 4 panels on the plane. He's got to go here. He's got to get a teacup. He's got to go and it was all just telling exactly, and the word balloons are this way here.
Right.
And there's no creative input from the artist.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's again, and they're doing that with the movies and everything that's coming out. They're over-examining everything, worrying about it. Well, you know what? What's going to happen is Deadpool's going to come out, and it'll probably be really, really good. I would love it if maybe Ryan Ryan Reynolds would fund and take on a Wolverine movie so that it could be done properly by one person, kind of thing. Like it's just if he says, all right, here's how it's going. Here's my money to fund it, which he seems to be doing. But we'll see. Again, we got our old school artists like you and myself right there keeping the flame alive. So I say I could go on forever with you, my friend. I'm going to say goodbye one more time. Thanks for coming out, my friend. So Kingston, Ontario, we're both comic book artists here. I'd like to thank you for coming out, my friend. I search out David Day and comic book artist on Google, and you'll find all the things. Go to Facebook. And thanks for coming out, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Right on. Cheers, my friends.